Hi everyone, welcome to week 2 of Introduction to Special Education. I've gotten a chance to read most of your assignments this week, the comparison and between 504 and IEPs. You did a great job, and I am so thrilled that so many of you decided to try to stretch yourself a little bit this week and decided to do a PowerPoint presentation. They were great. Some of you weren't quite clear about using the narration. Hopefully you'll understand that a little bit more going forward if that's something you'll choose to. Excuse my dogs wandering around. That's the red one is Gershwin. Anyhow, you all did a wonderful job. There was a great amount of information in all of your written papers and also in your PowerPoints. The discussion this week was fabulous. You all really stepped up to the plate. And again, I love that some of you decided to stretch yourself and do videos. So as you can tell, I really encourage you to try to use different ways to show your knowledge. And what you're doing is, what I hope you'll do for your students is provide them with different ways to demonstrate that they know things. Not everybody is able to demonstrate knowledge in their best way through a written paper. So it's called universal design, and I do that in my courses because I want you to have many different ways to demonstrate your knowledge. So a few things I did want to make sure that I went over with you this week are, one of the things that I have noticed, and it's not just with this class, this is in my every day-to-day life, is that people think IEP is an individual education plan. And it really is an individualized education program. Just something good for you to know. Even experienced special ed teachers get that one wrong. I also wanted to make sure that everybody understood that one of the basic tenets of the IDEA is faith in the LRE. And I wrote that comment back to many of you in your assignments, that that's a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. And you will probably hear faith in the LRE a lot if you're going into special ed. That's really, really common. We have so many acronyms in special ed, and some of them are even silly, like present levels of performance on an IEP. People refer to it as the plop. Doesn't sound real pleasant, but you're going to hear all those kinds of things and just sort of steel yourself, because the education world, and special education specifically, is just an acronym minefield. Never hesitate to stop whoever you're with that's using all those acronyms and say, time out. What does that mean? I still have to do that on occasion, and I've been doing this for almost 30 years. A couple things to remind you about: the late policy. So make sure you get your work in on time. I will accept work up to 4 days late, but no later. But there is a 10% penalty for work that is not turned in on time. If you're going to need to be late because you have a special circumstance, please get in touch with me ahead of time and let's see what we can work out, because I know that sometimes, things do happen, and I'd be happy to discuss that with you. Also, be sure to review all rubrics before you do an assignment. Things like the narration on the PowerPoints. Those of you that didn't know about that would have been a little bit more familiar had you reviewed the rubric, because there's some clear language about the expectations with regard to narrations on PowerPoints. And lastly, don't forget that you have an observation due at the end of this class. I know I've had other classes where students have waited till the very, very end and had a very difficult time making arrangements for their observation. So those were my reminders. So for week 2, we're going to be talking about specific learning disabilities, and you're going to really think about the definitions of the different kind of learning disabilities, what could cause them, the critical issues around them, some instructional strategies, and also some modifications or accommodations that could be used for children either on IEPs or 504 plans. Because we now know that even if you have the disability of having a specific learning disability, let's say a reading disability, but you don't need specialized instruction for some reason, you wouldn't qualify for an IEP, but you might need modifications on a 504 plan. So it is possible to have a disability and not qualify for special education, but I think all of you are firmly grounded in that. we're going to look at attention deficit disorder and some strategies. We're also going to look at speech and language impairments. I said specific learning disabilities. And then very important, the importance of families in a child's education and how to build relationships. One of the things that you can do as a teacher, whether it be a general ed teacher, a special ed teacher, an early childhood teacher, is to make sure you build strong, and I'm going to add a special word in here, strong reciprocal relationships with families. And what that means is that it's not a one-way street. It's not a teacher just telling a parent what to do. It's a teacher forming a relationship in which they get information from families just as much as they give information to families. Keeping in mind that parents are children's first teachers. You're going to have a child for a short while. Parents are going to have that child for life, and they are critical to that child's success. A lot of the problems that arise that turn into terrible, ugly, litigious situations in special education could have been avoided if there had been really positive relationships and good communication from the get-go. So with that, I'm going to leave you, and I am looking forward to our discussions this week. Keep trying new things, and I'm so pleased to be learning with you. You guys are great, and I'm really enjoying myself. I hope you are too, and I'll see you during the week. Bye-bye.